Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sober Swole Podcast. My name is Jake Howard.
And my name is Paul Rowe.
As always, before we get started, let's give some shout-outs to some wonderful companies that we know and love deeply and dearly. Before we get going, I want to talk to you about Royalty Nutrition. That's royaltynutrition.com, and I think we have someone queued up that does that a little bit better. Let's kick it off to Mr. Warhorse.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.
That's right, Royalty Nutrition, a veteran-owned and operated business that only uses the highest quality ingredients in their supplementations. No fake promises, no full-blown bullshit lies, just good supplements that help you get the job done that you need to get done. Go to royaltynutrition.com or at Royalty Nutrition on Instagram. All right, let's give some loves to Gorilla Gainz. That's Gorilla Gainz with a Z. It's at Gorilla Gainz 15 on Instagram or gorilla-gainz.com. They are a high-quality gym and out-of-the-gym apparel company that you can look good as you get as big as a gorilla, baby. Check them out and use the discount code JAKE15 to save you 15% on your entire order. Last but not least, the FitOps Foundation. I'll get into FitOps more with our guest tonight, but Paul, tell them what's good.
Well, first, I'm going to give a huge shout out to our wonderful wizard. And the wizard I am speaking of is the Grand Wizard, Ryan Harvey. And we are in his beautiful studios. That's Buytobyestudios. That's Buytobye Studios. Not only does he house us in this wonderful space, this amazing environment, allows us to free flow and just be ourselves and just hang out with the guys, man. But he also caters to everybody. He can do video gamers, you can do YouTubers, you can do whatever it is. Come check him out. He's going to be soon mobile, but you're going to have to reach out to him. You can reach out to him on his Instagram at Buytobuy. You can also reach out to him on Facebook, and you can get more details and information on that. Also, he has his own moving company. He is going to be there. God, sorry, my mask keeps falling off. He is always on time. He always gets the job done right. And if you're looking to have anything moved, if you need anything picked up and brought over to your house, Ryan's man to do that. So reach out to him. I love him, and he is a wonderful wizard. Now, I'm going to give a shout out to Advanced Physical Therapy. Advanced Physical Therapy is the reason why I am not in pain. I'm able to sit here not fidgeting and worried about my back fucking hurting. They have a wonderful staff. Mandy, the physical therapist, is amazing at what she does. If you want to check them out, give them a look up on, I believe it's advancedphysicaltherapy.com. They're in Gilbert. Main crossroads are Pecos and Higley. Another shout out I'm going to give out to is my brother, my boy, Kyle Summers, and the company that he works for is Purpose Healing Center. What that is it's an addiction specialist environment. Facility, I should say, that works with addicts, helps with all types of addictions, not only just drugs and alcohol. And they have a wonderful staff. They just branched out and opened up another part of the office building. So that means they're growing and they're helping more people. Check them out, purposehealingcenter.com. Now, speaking of Kyle, he just received his 5-year chip last week, and where he picked that chip up was at the Pigeon Coop, and more specifically, that is the Fourth Dimension Men's Meeting on Sunday nights. The Pigeon Coop is a great hall. It's where I got a lot of my early sobriety time and met a lot of wonderful people. If you want to check them out, they got all types of meetings. Give them a look. It's pigeoncoop.org. And if you're looking for just a men's meeting, check out 4D. It's a Fourth Dimension. It's on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. And they are located roughly off of Rowe and the 60. They're in the same parking lot as the AMF bowling alley and also the Denny's. That's all I got, man. Jeez.
All right.
Fucking mask.
So I want to introduce our guest tonight. His name is Johnny Martin. He is the Director of Aftercare at the FitOps Foundation. As you know from last week, we had Dan Waller, who is a FitOps Foundation CVFO, on the show. Tonight we have big old Yanni here. He's going to tell us a little bit more about him. But FitOps is fucking great. Without it, I wouldn't be where I am today. And we'll take it away, Johnny.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys having me. And Jake, I'm honored that you guys had me on, and it's been awesome just to develop a relationship with you over the last several months as I've kind of worked into my role as Director of Aftercare with FitOps. I guess just to give you all you guys that are listening a little bit of background on me and my role within FitOps. So, really when you peel it all back, guys like Danny, like you had on last week, and guys like Jake, and a lot of our other men and women that I've had a chance to meet through the FitOps Foundation are really the reason that I got involved. I found FitOps sort of by accident. And for those of you, if you listen to these guys regularly and you listen to Danny last week, you know what FitOps is. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and our primary mission is to change the lives of military veterans and help them redefine their purpose through fitness. And I sort of found FitOps by accident about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. I was in New York City with a friend, doing some work and having some fun. And I ended up, by chance, meeting Matt Hesse, who's our founder of FitOps. And Matt was doing some professional development work for some of his staff members at the time. And during that meeting, I had a chance to meet a guy by the name of Bobby Summers and a guy by the name of Harrison Johnson. And Harrison is now our Director of Operations. And on that day, I had a chance to hear Bobby speak about his experience in Iraq, his experience downrange, and then what the foundation helped him do in moving forward. And then in subsequent conversations with Matt and Harrison at length, as I got to learn more about the foundation, I wanted to see if I could do more than just say thank you. And I wanted to try to find a way to give thanks to our nation's men and women in a wheelhouse that was comfortable for me. And FitOps seemed to really fit that bill because of the passion that they have for fitness. But also, my background is in mental health. For my first 21 years prior to jumping on board with the FitOps Foundation, I worked in a mental health setting as a counselor, primarily for adolescents and their families, and wasn't looking to change careers at all. I actually had a job that I loved, and it was kind of one of those deals that once I got onto camp and experienced what FitOps was and watched what it did to change the lives of our nation's men and women, I did everything but beg to stay involved full time. And so here we are today. I am honored and humbled to sit as our Director of Aftercare. And my responsibility is multifaceted, but primarily I want to do two things. I want to do my very best to be accessible to all of our certified veteran fitness operatives from around the country, whether they went through Class 1 like Jake did. I call Jake our OG, and so much credit to him because Jake really has been able to school me a lot on where the foundation was, where he believes the foundation has the potential to head. And he's done so in a way that's just been, without the bullshit, super candid, very upfront. And he's given me such great insight into not just our American men and women that have served our country, but the foundation specifically, really from its inception. So, my primary role is really to get as many of our older CVFOs engaged and active in whatever growth and development looks like for them. And then secondary to that, what I really hope to do is to continue to provide resources and support and ongoing care for our veterans when they leave our FitOps camp. We don't want our CVFOs leaving and not having an outlet for support when they get back into their cities and towns. And that looks different for every veteran. Some access the work that I do almost daily, and others, I may not speak to them very much at all when they leave camp. But I have a really unique role in that I get to do a lot of work with our vets on camp, But it's also great because I can develop long-term relationships with them when they leave camp. And that's part of the job that I really love, is the relationship development piece, and sort of watching these guys and gals step into the shit that's really uncomfortable, step into the stuff emotionally, that a lot of times, not just men and women in uniform, but people in general are told to sort of backpack and suppress and not pay attention to, because society doesn't really want us to do that. We just have to keep pressing forward. And so my biggest hope and goal, and what drives my work every single day, is to give these dudes and these gals the understanding that stepping into that vulnerability and discomfort is our greatest sign of strength. You two guys and those that listen to Sober Swole, or that have a story in addiction and recovery, know that better than anybody. And you all can speak to that far better than I can. But this notion that we surrender, and we're very prepared to look ourselves in the mirror and honestly address all of the insecurities that have made us or put us in a position to act the way that we do today, and being willing to, truly surrender and extend your hand and hopefully get some support from another man or another woman that is willing to extend their hand back and do the same. So, I mean, I could talk about FitOps and how much I love the foundation, and I'm sure we'll get into it as we talk, but that's kind of, who I am and why I'm so passionate about the work that I'm doing now, and why I'm so grateful to be involved with this foundation, especially as a non-veteran, as a civilian, to be welcomed into a veteran organization and feel like I can bring some very valuable skills to the table that can help these guys and gals that have literally raised their right hand and given up parts of their lives for long periods of time for me and for my family. In the world that I live in and work in, there's no greater give back than that for me, and there's no greater reward. So I'm just stoked to be a part of it. And the only thing I can hope is that my work every day reflects that.
Damn, Skippy.
That was beautifully said, my man.
I'm telling you, this dude fucking rules.
Yeah.
I've been, just to kind of blow you a little bit, man. Like you've definitely
don't, but
well,
I'll certainly take a compliment.
We're big fans of being consensual around here, so I guess I'll take it out of my mouth. But no, man. Like, I thought when I walked into this, he might tone it down just a little for me, but that clearly isn't going to happen.
No.
I listened to your show last week. I know exactly how you guys talk. No, man. My life has gotten. You've helped me think through some things a lot, and I don't know if you realized that, but you've helped me think a lot better, and I really do appreciate you and everything that you do for everybody involved with the foundation. That's why I've had conversations with other CVFOs that are straight up like they were on the fuck this side of things, and I've always been like, talk to Johnny, reach out. I mean, I know you're a busy man, but I know you work really hard on getting back to everybody that you can, because I mean, like you've helped me personally immensely, and it's not because I know for a fact it's not because I do everything I can to still promote and work with the foundation and promote the foundation. It's just straight up out of the kindness of your heart, and that's way rare to find in today's world. So there you go.
Well, I truly appreciate you saying that, man. But I work under the very, very, very firm belief, not just in my work, but try to in my life. But as it relates to developing relationships with you or anybody else, I think I think first of all, you're probably shortchanging the amount of gifts and growth you've been able to give to me through our conversations as well. That's part of the work that I do that is so rewarding, is that, if I can impart something, a piece of information that at least helps one of you guys or gals at least look at a situation differently, evaluate it differently, pause for 2 minutes before we react emotionally, or whatever it is that we've discussed, it's given back to me tenfold, because what it allows me to do day to day, it allows me to practice these things in my own life. And so it's one thing to share advice or knowledge. And Jake, you can certainly relate to this as somebody who's trained competitive level bodybuilders and fitness competitors. Like, it's one thing to be able to coach somebody, but that's all going to be reinforced because you've been under a squat rack, you've been on a leg press, you've done and worked every muscle group in your body. And so what this work does for me is the gift in it comes back to me tenfold, because I'm able to share things with others, but it also forces me to practice these things in my own life every day. And so a really great byproduct of that is it's made me a better husband. It's made me a better father. It's made me a better brother and son. And listen, the fact is we're all flawed, right? We all have plenty of shit that needs to be worked on. And we all have to invest our attention and energy into something, right? And so for a lot of years, it was easy for me to invest my attention and energy in the stuff that looked good on the outside, but really wasn't doing anything for me on the inside. And I was able to fake it for a while. But when I really started to work on me and really look in the mirror and say, man, I got a shit ton of flaws that really need some correcting. Not only did I grow and start to feel better, but it just helped me in my work tremendously. So I appreciate you saying that, Jake. And, you know, we can't beg anybody to, and we won't beg anybody to come back. But the only thing that I know I can control is sending a consistent message regularly that says, we welcome you, we love you, we want you to get re-involved, and we're here for you if you choose to. But with 24 hours in the day that we all have, I'm going to spend my time investing in the people that continue to invest in themselves. And that's you, man, through sobriety, through fitness, through family. So those are the kind of people that fire me up. And that's the kind of shit that gets me excited about doing my thing every day, is that I don't have to look for people that want to talk to somebody. I don't have to search people out that want to figure out how maybe they can better their lives. And the beauty in that is we get to do it together. You know, I don't have all the answers, but I look constantly for them, and I try and fail forward and try again and fail forward. And so that's the stuff that I love, man. And I'm just happy to share it with you.
God, try and be humble once. He just pulls out the I'm better at being humble than you card. Jesus Christ.
I know that what he's doing right now too, brothers, he's writing notes and cards and he's showing them to you. That's why you're laughing at me through the screen. I know his moves.
It's just I just got to use my eyes. See, even if we weren't doing math stuff, I just have to give Paul a look and just kind of, raise the eyebrow a little bit. He knows what's up. I've known Paul for over a decade.
Yeah.
Paul, did you serve with Jake as well?
No, I did not. When you were talking about earlier how the community, the veteran community, just welcomed you in with open arms, and that's exactly what happened with Jake and a few of our other friends that Jake served with. And for a time, we got into a lot of trouble, and I was an honorary Marine, and to the point where there's one night I even walked up to a couple of fucking officers and called them pogues. We got into a bit of a scuffle, but yeah, we got into some shit back then, and yeah, I've known him for a long time, man.
But at least we're not like drunken on drugs and punching people anymore.
No.
We're doing okay.
No.
Well, it's amazing, Jake. It's like what we were texting earlier today. When you stop sometimes and you pinch yourself, whether it's through recovery or through any kind of growth or just, meeting some success in your life. As you mentioned to me earlier today, it's like, man, Johnny, I look around, I live in a 4-bedroom house with a beautiful family. I feel good. My life is good. Like it's mind-blowing stuff. And then it really just goes back. And again, you guys know this better than anybody in active sobriety, is like the recipe is really, really simple. And this is what I try to tell people all the time, not around sobriety, because I'm not an expert in that, but around growth and mental fitness and strength. The recipe is so simple. What scares people is that the work is really freaking hard. And to continuously do the next right thing 1 hour after another hour after another hour. That's the stuff that I think, from my experience in working with people for over 2 decades, that's the stuff that slows us down, right? Because it's so much easier to go back to that old stuff that's in our data, right? That's hardwired. The stuff we know that's safe and comfortable, even if it's chaos, even if it's insanity, even if it's fights and booze and drugs or whatever it is, if that's what we know and that's what we're wired to do, then that's where we go back to, because it's easy and it's safe and it's comfortable. And so our whole mission is to push people outside that comfort zone, whether it's in the gym, whether it's in their mental health space, whether it's just shedding this notion that because you were a combat veteran, that by virtue of that definition means that you're broken. There's so many different, parallels, but yeah, I mean, I just think it's about getting up every day and making a decision to try to do the next right thing, whether it's personally, professionally, from a fitness standpoint, and just keep pressing. And then you start, as you guys know, then you start to fall in love with the process, right? Then that process, that journey replaces the booze, replaces the drugs, replaces the need to feel like you have to fit in by doing shit that just is not who you want to be and who you are. So while having a lot of fun along the way, you don't have to sacrifice your character and your personality and the stuff that makes you uniquely you, but it's just about creating a different blueprint for how you want to approach your life.
Hell.
No, what I like about you, Johnny, is that, so there's a story that I've shared a long time ago on the show. My first stint in rehab, I was kicking heroin, and I remember the first thing I asked when I got admitted in, hey, what do you guys give for withdrawals? And they're like, nothing. I'm like, fuck. So I was literally up for 5 days straight, started hallucinating, was fucking seeing the devil and shit. And I was on the 6th day, I finally got admitted to the hospital to get some non-narcotic sleep medication. I've ended up falling asleep. The next day after, I went and saw the counselor. And this counselor is sitting across from me, who had never been an addict, had never experienced any of that. He only knew about it because he was in Al-Anon, because his wife was an alcoholic. And so, now, not to take take away from the fact that, hey, you know what? People study this shit. It is what it is. But I'm a firm believer. If you're going to talk to me about something, you better damn well fucking lived it or walked it. And I'm sitting across from this guy in just sheer agony and pain. And he's telling me he knows what I'm going through. And I'm like, you motherfucker, you have no idea what I'm going through. You read about it in a book. And the reason why I bring up that story is because the way he's talking, he admits, hey, I'm not one of you guys, but he talks like one of us.
Well, see,
and I respect that.
That is something that Johnny does. It's he right out of the gate just let you know I'm not a veteran, but here is my experience, and here's how I've lived my life, and here's some things that have happened to me that they're not the same as what you've gone through. They may tie in a little bit here and there.
Right.
Yeah. But I think
here's how you approach thinking.
Just to sort of piggyback on that story you shared, I think about this stuff all the time, because people that, say that they have an expertise, right, in whatever area they say they have, to your point, brother. Yeah. A lot of times that comes from a textbook, right? So I can understand the physiology behind addiction, but that doesn't mean that I can understand the pain of a human being that is trying to live through and recover from an addiction. And I think that's where, not just in the helping community, but I see it a lot in the veteran community. There's this comparison syndrome where if, Jake Howard was a Marine infantryman, well, there's no value in my story if I was a Marine admin guy, right?
Correct.
And so one of the things that happens a lot of times is when guys like me or any other practitioners or coaches or clinicians try to walk into a setting and we try to be more than we are, because we work with a group that has, for the most part, seen more, done more, experienced more, and been through more than I could ever possibly imagine being through in my life. When we try to front and pretend that we've been there, we lose those people right away. Mm-hmm. Instead of just being authentically vulnerable and saying, listen, I can't imagine what the pain of withdrawal is like. I can't imagine what having to go through that physical withdrawal is like. And I also can't imagine, but can respect the daily work that you've done to maintain your sobriety. But what I think I can offer you are maybe some suggestions, some tips, some strategies that you can throw in your toolbox that might help you in any area of your life. So I can't tell you necessarily how to stay sober tomorrow, because I think you got that figured out better than me. But I do think I can help you add some shit to that toolbox that may make this journey a little bit more peaceful for you, a little bit more rewarding for you, a little bit more motivating for you. And I think the more we can come, not just as helping people and people that have spent our life trying to help others, sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking, well, shit, I've worked with hundreds of addicts in my life. I know this dude. I don't know anything about you. But if I tell you that in the beginning, but then tell you I'd still really like to help you out, that's when you can form a relationship based on trust. And that's when two dudes or two people or anybody working together to grow can grow from one another, so that you're not staring at me from across the desk going, this dude's full of shit. He doesn't have a clue how I'm feeling.
This guy's good.
Yeah, I told you.
He's good. I told you tonight's show is going to be fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the other thing I'll say though, too, guys, is I don't know how you feel about this, because I've never been through recovery, but that's one of those things where I really struggle with that as somebody who's worked in mental health for a long time, is that, and I totally agree with you, man. I think there are very few, very, very few people that can actively and clinically help somebody through sobriety unless they are themselves an addict in active recovery. And that's just based on 20 years of my work. When I've faced situations with addicts, whether they were teen addicts or adult addicts that said they needed help, those are people that I typically refer to dudes like you guys and say, this is not my wheelhouse. Like, you need to get around a man, if it's a man, or a woman, if it's a woman. You need to get around a man that can teach you things and show you this road in a way that I could never do it because I haven't lived it. And so in those cases, I connect those dudes with people like you guys. And I say, the first step might be just to reach out and give this guy a call and go to a meeting and start there. And then after that, my biggest role and the way I think I can serve addicts the best is not to try to counsel them at all, but to try to refer them to people who have lived it and can walk them through it the way that you all had to walk through it. Because I don't know what that way is, man. For the same reason, I don't walk into the gym at FitOps and try to teach people how to squat, how to deadlift, how to clean, because that's not what I do. I do that shit on my own because I love to work out, but I don't know how to teach it. And I just think in general, and this is a whole nother tangent, but I just think in general, people don't do a good enough job of staying in their lane.
God,
you know what I mean? Like,
preach.
do what you do and try to do it really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about, I can't worry about what our director of training is doing and our director of operations is doing, because that's what they're really good at. I don't have time to learn how to do that stuff. I need to be better at what I do every day.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And it's to me, there's no such thing as coincidence. And it was one time told to me a long time ago that there's no such thing as coincidence. It's just God acting anonymously in a situation. And it always just rang true for me. And there's a reason why you're doing this work, what you're doing, being involved, being in that atmosphere because of your experience with the mental health. Because, yeah, you may not have gone through what me and Jake have gone through in the aspects of withdrawals and addiction and all that, but you got a damn good head on your shoulders, man, and you are extremely humble and are able to put your ego and your pride aside and are willing to be open to learn and to be vulnerable. And that shows so much character. And if you were to have been that person sitting across from me in the rehab, I would have had a way different fucking experience.
I appreciate you saying that. I also think, like, a lot of times what we do in any form of trauma or pain, right? instead of what we try to do is we immediately try to swoop around that person and we try to make it go away, right? Instead of knowing what you guys know, and that is you got to sit in that shit and you got to grow through that stuff to get to the other side of it. So what I tell people all the time is that I can't pretend to know your pain, but I know pain. I can't pretend to know your trauma, but I know trauma. Right? All of us have lived lives where we experienced pain, emotional, physical, in some cases worse. All of us have experienced trauma in one way, shape, or form. So I can't talk to Jake about downrange trauma because I've never been there. But I can certainly have an open, honest discussion with Jake about trauma and how we can grow through that trauma to put a life together for ourselves that's peaceful and enjoyable. So I think we have to spend less time getting into the weeds about where the pain and the trauma was caused. And we need to spend more time putting our boots on the ground and putting our arms around people and saying, and just being honest and saying, listen, I can only imagine what it was like to go through what you went through, but I don't understand it. But I do know pain, and here's what helps. I do know trauma, and here's what helps. And you know what? Some people try stuff, man, and you guys know how it is. How many times did you relapse before you got clean?
Jake
Right?
can't speak on that. Jake's never relapsed, but yeah, I can.
I mean, it's probably an insane amount of times where you, and you know what I mean by it. Even those days where you get up and you tell yourself, once you vocalize that, you tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to kick it today. Today's the day.
Bro, I'm not shitting you, true story. Just picked up a couple perks, and my favorite way of doing perks, if I wasn't doing heroin, was snorting it. And I'm not kidding. I'm chopping it up, and I'm fucking crying because I don't want to be doing this. And then I got upset because a fucking teardrop fell in the fucking line. Like,
Yeah, it messed up your drugs.
Yeah, that's insanity right there, man.
Yes, it is. It is. But when you're what people that have never lived that can't understand. So here's a perfect example of what we were just talking about. So even though I can't possibly understand that level of insanity as it relates to drug use, right? What I can understand is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And so what I try to do is this very simple philosophy, man. And if everybody did this, whether we were clinicians, doesn't matter, just good human beings, just decent human beings. If we were just willing to meet people where they were at, not try to pretend we were there with them, not try to bring them with us, just meet people where they're at and just be willing to listen. You guys know better than anybody. Sometimes when you guys were going off to people, you didn't need anybody to tell you that you were making bad mistakes and you were throwing your life away and this wasn't going to end well and you're going to end up locked up or you're going to end up dead. You didn't need that shit. All you needed in those moments sometimes was someone just to listen. Sometimes you just need to get your shit off.
Yep.
And that's what I love too about this work is sometimes I get to just sit back and listen, man. And these guys and gals, they do all the work, man. I'm just blessed to be along for the ride.
But you're cutting yourself short, and the reason why I say that is because, yeah, they may be doing all the work, but you got to remember you're the foundation. You're the reason why they're able to open up and do work. So don't cut yourself short.
Right?
Man.
Yeah,
you're that reason.
And I get that, man. But I think for me, and I appreciate it very much. I really do. But I think for me, it's the joy that I get, truthfully, is. And you guys, again, can relate to this. Anybody that's had any sort of struggle, right? Or even if you haven't had struggles that are at the magnitude of you and Jake, anybody that's had any sort of struggle, when they get to that place where you can see that there's a breakthrough, you can see that they've broken through and they have one of those moments. Well, what FitOps does is it allows me, very selfishly, I get to see those moments all the time. And so, of course, I believe that I have value and worth to the foundation, but I'm just, it's a very, very important wheel, right? This virtuous circle that Matt always talks about it's everything. But I recognize that I'm a spoke in that wheel. But the good news is we have a lot of other spokes that make that wheel spin really well. And I'm just stoked that I'm allowed to be on the wheel and along for the ride. So, and you guys know better than anybody, you can get all the support in the world. You can get all the help in the world, but real growth, and this is what I love about the foundation and what we're trying to change in the way of our ethos and ideology. Real growth is an inside job. Like, it starts and ends with the individual. And then any additional support they get along the way is only going to help them in that journey. But once the person decides, this shit ain't for me, well, that's when the journey stops too. Because we can have all the support in the world, but if we don't get up every day with intention to improve our lot in life, it doesn't matter how many people are in our corner to help us. Ultimately, we've got to do the work, right? We've got to take the oars and we got to row the boat.
Yeah. Welcome to my last few months. This has been great.
I'm trying to see why you're in such good spirits.
I can't take credit for most of it, man. I'm very lucky in that I have people that have been such amazing influences on my life. And I try to steal everything from them I can, and then I try to give it away freely so it can help another human being. And just keep practicing it and screw up every day just like everybody else. And my wife gets pissed at me pretty regularly just like everybody else. And, you know, I'm far from perfect, but the goal is to just be just a little bit better today than I was yesterday. And keep pressing, because we don't know when it's going to end for any of us, especially during all this craziness, fellas. I mean,
what a perfect opportunity for a transition question. So we brought up, so FitOps did not have a great aftercare anything set up until you came on, and you took on this role willingly and have been getting the ball rolling and making things happen. I know that with modern technology and things, most of this stuff was going to have to be done via video chats and calls anyway. But what struggles have you found in establishing an aftercare program through the pandemic?
Such an awesome question, man. And I tell people all the time, if we can get this thing to work, through COVID, then we can get it to work infinitely. I think, Jake, and as you and I have talked about many times offline, I think what has sort of exacerbated those problems is the pandemic. But I think when you don't have camps that are running regularly, the risk is always that people are going to forget that we exist.
Right.
Right. And just like you guys, like if your podcast is rocking and rolling and it's hot for weeks and months, I mean, consistency is everything, right? And people want to know, whether it's our foundation or any other entity, people want to know that on Wednesday nights, I know I can count on Sober Swole to give me that juice that I'm looking for on a Wednesday night. What my fear was going in is because we were so far removed from camps, and also, Jake, because I didn't know anybody from classes 1 through 7, right? So that's, well over 200 veterans. Because I didn't know any of them, I didn't know how receptive at all they would be to, hey guys, this is who I am. This is what I'd love to try to do to get you re-involved and help you. I'm going to start putting stuff out. And I just would love to start talking with you. So the biggest challenge has been not being able to get a group together and to highlight the good work that we're doing, and also to get people to try to buy into where the foundation is going when we're not running traditional camps as dudes like you remember. And so it's extremely challenging. But at the same time, for me, it's been kind of bittersweet because I jumped into this role full time after 2 decades in a school system. So it's really given me a chance to slow down and really take a look at the foundation from class 1 all the way to where it is now from an aftercare perspective and say, okay, what can I do over the next 6 months? What can I do over the next year that will give people an understanding that aftercare is a real thing within this foundation. It's not something that we talk about. It's a real thing. There's a guy, there's a team that will help me. It's a real thing. So the challenges are daily. But I love that too, because I honestly believe that if we can get this thing to grow, and we are, as you know, Bud, if we can get this thing to grow, then there's nothing we can't do when we get out of this. And then the other thing I'll say is I got to give a shout out to, our director of admissions. Her name is Jenny Knuckles, and
great name.
Jenny. So Jenny has been on board with FitOps since day one.
Yeah, since they were drawing it up.
Almost 4 years outside of our founder, Jenny was the only person consistently for 4 years that has been part of this thing that has never left. And that lady has done everything from admissions to travel, logistics, aftercare, support, you name it. She's worn every freaking hat that you could possibly wear. And what I love about Jenny is that when new people have come on board, she opens the books and is all in trying to get us all on board and trying to help. Never has asked for any credit or praise. You want to talk about, like, those are the kind of people that you want to be around, people that have wrote it out for 4 years, when I would imagine she had plenty of moments where she was like, how in the hell am I going to keep doing this essentially by myself? So I'm also so grateful for people like her, because now she can focus on what she's really, really good at. And she knows she has a team of people that are going to support her. And so I think, Jake, as you know, that's a big piece that was missing, is that we just didn't have the resources and support and the infrastructure to create sort of a comprehensive wraparound service that wasn't just on camp. It was pre-camp, it was on camp, it was after camp. So things are changing and things are moving in the right direction. And we are all really excited about the direction that we're headed.
I just to get on the Jen thing, there was some hiccups that happened during the first year and a half of the foundation, let's say, that kind of set the foundation back. So like she probably could have had this support a lot sooner if this hadn't happened. So just her having the heart to stick around and still shoulder way more of a burden than any person could ever be asked to do is amazing.
Dude, I could speak so fondly of everybody that I've had a chance to work with within this foundation, but I'll always have a special place in my heart for Jenny, because I still remember the first day I ever walked onto camp in class 8. You talk about, and I was just there as a volunteer, man. She didn't know who I was. It didn't matter to her, but you talk about like open arms. Hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. And I watched what that girl did from morning till night. And when I say didn't stop, you got to respect that, man. And so like when we dig in, I'm like, I just want to dig in like Jenny has. And then I watch guys like Harrison and Randy Lloyd and Bobby Summers, who was instrumental in pushing me towards this foundation, and Wade Olson and Nate Palin and Sam Nider, the team that we have. Just to watch these dudes and gals work, man, it's inspiring. Like that's the shit that gets me going. Like you watch people and I'm like, man, I'm gonna outdo them today. I'm gonna find a way to outdo them. It's a really good team of people, man. And I'm excited, Jake, for you to have a chance to meet all of them individually, because I know how much you care about this foundation, and I know how much you care about your sobriety and trying to help others. So Man, there's just good things on the horizon. Really good things.
And I'm very excited for that too. I'll give Jen one more compliment. One more, just one. So I'm
sure she would really appreciate that. Otherwise, man, I can give her plenty, man. I can shine her way all day.
If she listens to it, but that's a tale I'm not getting into anyway. No, but she developed a really cool relationship with Britt when Britt and I were just dating. So like she's her and Britt were pretty good friends for a while there too, and like just her having that, even that giving a shit about someone that was in my life,
right,
outside of me, just the guy that went through the foundation before, kind of thing. It just speaks volumes of the amount of like giving a shit that's in her heart that she spreads. She's rad. So
she's good, folks.
Yeah, so I have a question. As far as the aftercare goes, are you attempting to instrument counselors as part of your team?
Yeah, so awesome question, and it can't be done effectively without it, bud. So even though my background is in counseling and psychology, what we have really seen and found is that as we start to progress in moving forward, the amount of folks that may need very individualized clinical treatment, there's a few different routes for them to go on the military side of the house, and Jake is all too familiar with this. But a lot of times our veterans, they'll go to the VA, or if they have a connection with a national veteran nonprofit, they'll try to get some help and support through the veteran nonprofit. What I noticed, and Matt noticed, and Harrison, and some of us, is that because the foundation is growing, and my responsibility is really to oversee aftercare for the entire foundation, and aftercare, really, you could insert the word support in there as well, right? So it's not just mental health, right? It's all things pre and post camp that are going to help these transitioning vets back in their cities and towns. So we two things I think that are going to be really important. One is we are going to have, in moving forward, we are going to have a licensed PsyD or PhD level clinical psychologist on every camp and moving forward from the start of camp till the end of camp. And that person really is going to serve as a conduit between me and the veterans, and also to help me troubleshoot issues that are beyond my scope of training and experience, right? So having that person on deck from start to finish to help support me, but more importantly, help any veterans that may have acute issues that arise while they're on camp, whether it's something involving a current mental health issue that they have, and they're just an uptick of that mental health issue, or other things that may arise in camp that we can troubleshoot together. The other thing that we're working to build really strong relationships with nonprofits that specialize in the mental health space. Outside of the VA, and this is not a knock on the VA at all. As Jake knows, I work with everybody I work with has a connection to the VA in some way, and they do great work given the resources and support that they have. But in some cases, it works better for some of our veterans to be able to have services that are outside of the VA as well. So yeah, it's critical for us, man, to have a mental health support staff, a licensed mental health support staff that can really target and troubleshoot areas that are specific to this population. That, quite honestly, is just beyond the scope of my skills and experience.
And I liked how well you said it with the VA, and you said it with respect. However, from my experiences with my buddies who have all been military, my whole family dates back to World War I. So I have plenty of experience. And the one thing I always noticed was time. That's a very sensitive thing, especially with people that are dealing with trauma. And unfortunately,
it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
The VA is not, unfortunately, equipped to be able to meet the needs of the veterans right away when they need it. And so the fact that you're going to have somebody on deck like that, that's fucking speaking volumes, man, of how much you guys are growing as a foundation.
Yeah, and I think, like you just said, man, in fairness to the VA, it's not that they don't have great clinicians, great practitioners, but you can only field so many calls in one day with the amount of staff that you have.
Right.
It's no different than any other business or any other human being, right? I may want to squat 800 pounds, but I'm going to break my back if I put 800 pounds on my back. Well, the VA is the same way. And you said it best, man. When somebody's in a place, especially if they're ready, right? Like, we need to get to a place, and we're not here yet. In full transparency, we're not here yet, but we're going to get there. But we need to get to a place where if one of our veterans is ready to take that next step, right? So you got a vet that's ready. Hey, I'm drinking Johnny's Kool-Aid. I'm ready to start. I'm ready to try something different because this hamster wheel shit is getting old and I'm tired. So I'm ready to try something different. Well, you know as well as I do that within minutes, sometimes that statement of I'm ready to rock could be gone, because all it takes is one setback, one obstacle, one, we try to get away from the word trigger. It's not a great word with our population, but you understand what I mean. All it takes is one thing for them to go, nah, I'm good. I'm going to hold off. So you're 100% right. It's about responding to those needs as quickly as we possibly can. And that's going to take some time for us as a foundation to get there. But that's also a part of my job every day, is to build relationships with these people where I can call them and say, hey, I got a guy that's ready to try something different. Can you take him as soon as tomorrow?
Yep. 'Cause I know through Jesus, through my own experience with myself and also brothers and sisters of mine that have been in my circle, that it is imperative that you react to it in a timely manner, because it takes a hell of a lot longer for somebody to open up than it does for them to shut down.
That's right.
And it just, like you said, it can take just literally one word. Or even I've seen it with a person just giving a look, and then like, fuck, I'm not going to this meeting now. And then what happened? They lost out on experience, and sometimes shit, they go home and they don't survive.
They don't live. And remember what we talked about before. We go back neurologically, our brain, unless we work every day to condition it differently, we are always going to go back to a place that's safe and comfortable for us. So even if that safety and comfort is chaos, it's a needle, it's booze, it's violence, whatever it is, that's the first place our mind is going to take us before it takes us to that new place, right? If you guys look at your sobriety right now, and I know Jake, I think, has got like 5 years of good time or something like that.
December 5th, baby.
December 5th is 5 years? Fuck yeah.
That's so awesome, man. But if you just look at that, if you just use that as an example, the way you guys look at your sobriety today is probably very different than the way you looked at it your first 24 hours sober, and your first 1 month sober, and your first 6 months sober, right? Because every day in sobriety, you're working to change that data that you had created living that lifestyle for so long, because the disease took over. The disease changed your data, right? And all the decisions you made around use, they were just a reflection of your disease. And so it's no different with other forms of trauma. Like you said, man, and I think that's a critical message for anybody that's listening. When you have that impulse to get help, or when you think you're ready to reach out to the person that you trust, and the person that you know is going to work to do their best to take action right away. Even if that means they're just going to drive over to your house and sit with you and help you process that shit for a little while, until you can get to a place where somebody who's professional can help you, because time is everything.
Time is everything, and that's why they always say strength in numbers, my man.
Yeah, you got to have a community of folks so when you pick up the phone for the first time, if that first number doesn't answer, you got 9 more that you can call.
Correct.
So, are you ready for this?
Hell yeah, man.
I put up that, we're having you on the show,
Uh-oh.
Ask any questions put up. And they were all sent in by one particular CVFO in particular, by the name of
Jason Howland.
No, Mr. Byerly, Mr. Blake Byerly.
Right on.
Have you had the chance to talk to him or meet him at all?
No.
He is actually married to another CVFO named Ashley. Anywho, his first question was, who is your least favorite CVFO and why is it Jake Howard?
So I can tell I'm going to love these questions already. And Blake, I hate to disappoint you, man, but Jake Howard is far from my least favorite CVFO. And I don't have a least favorite CVFO.
Total dead answer, but I can respect it.
Hey, man, listen, it's like any other job, man. You step into it and you have to take the good with the bad. And I try, honestly, man, I really try to work under the guys that I want to start with what's good in people first and focus on that, because we all have so many flaws, man. If that becomes our point of emphasis, then we're never going to be able to dig into the good shit that makes everybody unique. And I really believe that. So yeah, of course, there's certainly some that I connect with better than others. And that's just about being human. You know what I mean? That's just about being more compatible with some people than others. But Jake, you are not my least favorite. I'll tell you that.
Bottom 5, at least, you know.
you're in the bottom 5.
All right. So what is your honest opinion of garden gnomes?
I'm not a fan at all. In fact, I think about 10 years ago, my wife tried to buy one. And I think when I pulled into the driveway and I saw it, I didn't even walk into the house. I think I just picked it up and threw it in the trash barrel.
There you go. Okay. You've been given
I'm not a fan.
Fucking random.
Because you know what it is with gnome people, man? It's not good enough for gnome people just to have one. They get the first one and it's like tattoos.
But they need friends.
Like, they get the first one.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I got the first one when I was a kid and I'm like, I just want one. Right?
Do you want to tell that tattoo story?
Now I can't stop. Well, garden gnomes are the same way. Like, person buys one and they're like, oh, that looks cute by my front door. And then the next thing you know, they have a yard full of garden gnomes. And to me, that's just that's a little much, man. Not my thing.
See, I can respect that a lot. So these are ridiculous questions. He's got
I love them.
Okay.
I've been on podcasts before as a guest where there's like a rapid fire at the end. It's like, okay, you have 30 seconds. I'm going to name something. You have to name the first thing that comes to mind. And those throw me off a little, especially in this new role, because like I've got to catch my head before my mouth says it, you know?
Yeah.
And so this is fine, man. This is fine.
All right. Well, this is a step away from that then.
Oh boy.
You've been given an elephant. You can't trade, give, or sell it. What do you do with the elephant?
What the fuck?
Yeah. Hey.
No,
yeah,
what
so
Brittany just said.
I have a neighborhood full of neighborhood full of kids. And then what I would do is I'd put a big sign out at the end of the street and I'd charge $5 for elephant rides. And that elephant would contribute to the household income just like everybody else here is expected to.
Fucking entrepreneur.
He's smart. Ooh, and then a serious question. Jesus, he's coming out of left field here. What was the last gift you gave someone?
Oh, that's an awesome question. Well, I just went through training through an organization called the Grief Recovery Institute. It's an amazing, amazing institute, and they are an empirically based and data-driven foundation that teaches folks how to work through grief and loss. And I went through a pretty intensive training with them to become a grief recovery method specialist so that I could pass that along to our veterans if they so chose. And I was talking with a dude last week who wants to start doing this work with me, and sent him a copy of Grief Recovery Handbook so that he didn't have to buy it. And so that's the last gift I gave somebody.
Nice.
That's
Oh,
dope.
yeah. Well, I mean, probably off air. I mean, I was going to ask you more about that course. Why not? We'll do it right here. How was that grief recovery course, man?
Honestly, I've been through 20 years of courses on loss and grief, and the staple in our world is Kubler-Ross on the stages of grief. And it was like, honestly, 20 years of going through professional development on grief and loss. It was hands down the best training I've ever been through. So much so that I'm starting their advanced level training tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to go through that for 3 weeks and just keep learning, because it was unbelievable, man. And if anybody that's listening is still struggling with a loss, and it doesn't have to be a death. That's the biggest misconception people have, is that a loss is death, because that's the first place we go, right? Death or divorce are two biggest losses that we deal with societally, but it can be a loss of friendship, a loss of your love for years, which was, drugs or alcohol. It can be a loss of identity. There's a million different ways to process loss. And that's really what grief is. It's a significant loss of any kind. And it's phenomenal. So I would encourage anybody listening, if you want to learn more about it, just go to Grief Recovery Method and check them out. It's an amazing foundation. They're doing God's work, man. They really are. They're literally giving people peace back, and I hope to use what they've taught me and try to do the same.
Oh, so my wife chimed in here in the Twitch live chat.
Cool.
And she said garden gnomes are commonly used by swingers to identify each other's houses. One, how the fuck does she know that? Two,
that was good, dude. That was going to be my first question. But that's in-house family stuff, man. That's none of my business. You can have that discussion off the air, bro. I'm not even going there. The good news is I didn't know that, so I'm safe here.
But now you do. Now you can tell your wife, hey,
I learned something.
Weird folks aren't coming into my house, lady.
Now I know why you bought that garden gnome, money.
You tell freaking Steve to stay the hell out of here.
Actually, that's a bad choice of name, man. That's my brother's name. So
Oh,
Shit.
dang. I've seen movies where something like that happened.
Yeah, I don't want to live that movie, bro. Things are good right now. I want to keep them that way.
Yeah. So, all right. FitOps is all well and good. Johnny's dope. What you don't know, Paul, is that Johnny is the only person I've ever met in my entire life that rivals me in professional wrestling knowledge.
Really?
All right, so
But in fairness, man, I've had a huge advantage. It's really not fair to you.
well, we'll let you
All right,
brag about your advantage
you
for a
guys have
second.
a good night.
I don't blame you, man. I want to do the same thing.
Well, ow, dude! Just first, rest in peace, Pat Patterson. He was first openly.
I'll be honest with you, man. That guy was the sweetest guy, man. I still remember taking my son to a show, and Pat just going out of his way to introduce my son to people, and he was a beautiful guy, man. So well respected in the business, so funny, would keep you laughing. Just a awesome dude, man. And it's a huge loss for that company because he's a very well loved guy, man.
So yeah, if you don't know anything about Pat Patterson, he had a incredibly long professional wrestling career, starting out up there in Canada in the French speaking part, and he just had an incredibly long, hell of a good run. Great tag team champion, tag team wrestler. his was it the boot camp match with Sergeant Slaughter? That was extreme. He was the first Intercontinental Champion to ever get that belt. First openly gay professional wrestler. And then he worked. How long did he work with backstage? It was
man, I would be speculating because I had heard he had gotten sick more recently, but I can never remember a televised show or a pay-per-view that I ever went to that he was not there. I can never, ever remember one. They say from people I've talked to that he was just a genius writer and storyteller. And a lot of the guys and gals will tell you that he was just instrumental in helping them put storylines together for matches. And but how long he actually was working, I don't know, man.
According to the Wikipedia, 1979 until now in 2020 was how long he'd worked with the WWE.
Yeah, 40
I
years.
never, ever remember not seeing him at a show, ever.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna like dive too deep in it. I just wanted to throw a shout out to Pat Patterson, and then you had to be all like, "Ooh, by the way, my best friend is."
No, I don't listen. I never bring that stuff up, man.
I wasn't even trying to get you to. I promise.
It comes up in a conversation, but
I promise I wasn't even trying to go there with you. You were just like, "Oh yeah."
yes, you were.
Oh, I never want to bring that up. Look at my dick.
I'm not showing you that either.
No, man. He respects the Iron Sheik. That's all you need to know about what kind of man he is. That's it. That's all you need.
That's my guy, man.
Well, brother, unless you got any, where can people find you? Where can people follow you? I'm not saying give out your direct contact information because I know you are busy, but how would you like folks to see what Johnny's up to?
Well, I would say a couple things. If you guys are any listeners out there that are, loyal listeners to these guys, especially in the veteran community, and you want to reach out to talk, I like always extending myself to those folks first because that's right in line with the work that I do every day. So, make sure you get a hold of one of these two guys and they'll connect you directly. If you want to reach out to me on social, it's at Real John C. Martin. But if you, and more importantly, if you're curious just to learn more about the foundation, it's www.fitops.org. So if you're going to take a couple minutes to surf and you have a choice between looking me up or looking the foundation up, I would respectfully request that you look the foundation up. And it's www.fitops.org.
Yeah, you'd be able to handle all 13 of our listeners, so.
The man speaks the truth.
Hey.
Yeah, but see, that's the beauty in all this, man. We talk about passion, purpose, all that stuff. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I love. Who cares if it's 1, 13, or 13,000? You do it because you love it. And one of those 13 people, who knows, man, and you guys know this better than anybody because it took that moment for you, whatever that moment was, right, to change your entire life, because that's how life happens. Life occurs in moments, not in weeks, months, years. It's in moments, and moments change lives. And so, I say 13 is a hell of a lot more than the person that is sitting on their couch right now that wants to talk about helping themselves or someone else, but is choosing not to. So I believe so strongly in that shit, man. Moments, and the willingness to put yourself out there and have fun with it, but also send a message that, like, hey, if you listen, great. And if you don't, that's okay too, but we're here and we want to help. That's the shit that draws people to people, man. And that's what it's all about for me. So
I selfishly want his number just to have an ego boost. Hey, John, hey, how's it going? Have a talk for 5 minutes and I'll be good.
Because you're friends with Jake, man, I'll give you a really good rate. It's free.
Oh, dang. Dropping that free 99 out there. No, but Johnny, just to speak on your point, we started this straight up like, maybe if we help one person, dope. But we've sat out here for over a year and a half, just telling stories and shooting the shit and bringing folks on. And this has been, you know how like back in the day, the guys would meet up at the bowling alley, play a couple games and, drink their pitchers of beer. This is our bowling night.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
It's
therapeutic for us.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, if you go back into the shows, man, there's been moments, like when you talk about moments where I was 100% vulnerable, man, fucking crying and shit, like being open and honest. Like, I wouldn't have felt safe had we not had that forum that we have here.
Yeah, and when you can create that safety for you based on that forum, that means you've created a recipe where other people feel safe as well. And that's the winning combination, is like when Jake asked me to come on, it's not just because of my level of comfort speaking, because there have been podcasts that, I've been asked to be on, and it doesn't align at all with my life or it, but I know how he's living. I love his insane personality. I just think it's great, man. He flies off the cuff and you always know where you stand with him. But what I love about Jake is that as crazy as he may be and the stuff that he may throw out there, you never have to question for 1 second where his heart is or what's on his mind. And there's not enough of that. So man, I was psyched when he asked, and you guys have created an environment that's just comfortable, man. I jumped on and I knew that I was with a guy that I could trust. And
Paul.
That's huge, man.
Well, I'll
huge.
take responsibility. Jake's the way Jake is because of me. I mean, I've done a great job being a leader. Showing him the ropes, taking him under my wing, and he's developed out great.
You're doing a good job, Papa. Keep it up.
Yeah, without Paul, I would not be the man I am today. That is a hand to God truth, and I will go down with this ship. Well, Johnny,
I appreciate you guys very much.
Oh, we appreciate you, brother, and I love you much. I'll see you at the next phone call. That's what, Sunday? Or are we doing a everybody get together?
Yep. Yeah, Sunday night, brother.
Cool.
Same time. I sent something out to y'all today, but yeah, Sunday night. I think it's 8 Eastern.
Okay, I will definitely be available. But
awesome.
Hey,
if I can ever do anything to help support you guys and Sober Swole, or you ever want to have me back to talk about other things, I'm all in, man. I appreciate you guys very much. Sending nothing but love your way.
The honor's ours, man.
Kisses,
Thank you
kisses.
very much.
Johnny, you have a good night. Tell your family I said hello, and see you Sunday, buddy.
It was a pleasure
Certainly
meeting you,
will,
sir.
man. You do the same. Give that Ruthie a big hug for me, bro.
Will do.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
Have a good night, brother.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. See y'all later.
That dude is fucking dope.
Right? Hey, check it. So we're gonna have to turn the screen off ourselves. DJ Swirl is not here. Oh, there he is.
How'd you know he left?
Well, I mean, he's sitting over there.
Oh.
Yeah, we signed off.
Oh, we're still live.
We're still
now.
live.
Gotcha.
And we're leaving this all in. I'm about it. So, no, hey, so that's Johnny, dude.
Where did you
Dude,
go?
like he.
We said bye-bye.
Oh, you closed the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the Sober Swole podcast. Once again, my name is Jake Howard,
My name is Paul Rowe.
and our guest tonight was Johnny Martin, the Director of Aftercare at the FitOps Foundation. Check them out at FitOps Foundation on Instagram and www.fitops.org. FitOps is a not-for-profit veterans organization. Sorry, brother. FitOps is a not-for-profit veterans organization that helps veterans rediscover their purpose after their active duty military service, not just through physical training and becoming a personal trainer, but through camaraderie and learning special skills that help you adjust better to civilian life. With that, DJ Swirl, please take us out of here.